Well, again, good morning, and I want to welcome you to our 9/11 event ceremony this morning. I have the distinct pleasure of being part of the unveiling of our 9/11 artifact here. And with that, I'd like to call up our mayor, Bill Zimmerman, and also our 9/11 event committee. If you all could come up too and be a part of this moment so we can recognize you. Dr. Mayor Zimmerman?
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Good morning, everybody. Today is a very special day. It's a monumental day for us. When we think about 2001, that's 22 years ago. And a lot of the college students that are attending today weren't even born when the 9/11 tragedy happened. And so it is our responsibility to teach them and to share with them the importance of making sure that we just never have domestic terrorism. It's just not tolerated anymore. That is going to be the message in perpetuity for those students. And so today we're doing something very special. We have a really nice monument that was created. I'm going to just tell you real fast. 1 year ago, we were here. We had a very special event. Jack Ohm was the speaker. Jack was a New York firefighter, and his team was there on that day, and he shared his firsthand experiences of all of the activities that happened and some of his colleagues that he lost. And afterwards, we went in this room right here, and he was sharing about the Tunnels to Towers program that he is part of, and that they create these monuments and exhibits that can help teach young people about the event. And Dr. Bertha Barraza there she is right here. She was sitting in the front row, and she says, Jack, how do we get something like that here in Menifee or here at MSJC? And he said, all I need is the mayor to write a letter or do some official thing. And she said, well, he's right here. And so anyway, we made that commitment that day that we were going to do that. And that was 1 year ago. And I know she deserves all the credit for working behind the scenes to make that happen. In just a little bit, we're going to unveil the piece that we got. So I'm very excited about that. And I just want to ask, are we going to be doing some of the proclamations now, or should I hold that for afterwards? Hold it for afterwards. All right, very good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Dr. Johnson, and we will then do the unveiling.
Thank you, Mayor Zimmerman. I'm just wondering if Dr. Schultz can join us right alongside our mayor here. Thank you. And I'm truly going to ask, although it's a team effort, but truly, as Mayor Zimmerman said, it really, really was the persistence and dedication of Dr. Barraza. So I'm going to ask her if she can come forward and actually do the unveiling. Well, just to give you a little bit more additional facts here, after the attack in New York City, it took 8 to 9 months of working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to clean up over 1 million tons of debris that was removed from the site. The Port Authority, which runs 3 of the airports in the New York City area, kept most of the artifacts at John F. K. Airport and 2 of the hangars, where they were secured, and only the police, fire, and construction workers were allowed in. The Port Authority has stamped a serial number on the base of the artifact, and we have just that, a rendition of that of the Twin Towers. So we are blessed and extremely, extremely honored to be able to host this here at Mount San Jacinto College in the city of Menifee. And just so you know, after the program, this will be displayed right behind us in room 814. So please, as you're touring in the program and seeing all the displays, do take a moment to stop and give honor as you remember 9/11. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce a mistress of ceremony, Karina Lumara.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here this morning. We are very proud to hold our 9/11 commemoration ceremony here at the beautiful campus of Mount San Jacinto College. A little history about how this commemoration came about. As you met, Dr. Bertha Barraza felt the need to acknowledge and honor 9/11. And she has done this for the past 12 years, started at the Mount San Jacinto College at the San Gregonio Pass with a handful of employees and students. And she started this at a much smaller scale, but I'm very happy and proud to say here we are today, and a big round of applause for Dr. Barraza for seeing this vision through. Throughout the ceremony, you will hear a bell, 4 to be specific. If you have a program, I ask that you look inside your program, and on the left, you'll see the times that you will hear the bell. We ask that you keep a silent moment, and the first bell will be in honor of Flight 11 at 8:46. At 9:03, in honor of Flight 175, 9:37, Flight 77, 9:59, the South Tower collapse. Now by 10 o'clock, we hope that you're still here visiting our different rooms and artifacts, but we'll have 2 additional bells at 10:03 for Flight 93 and 10:28 in honor of the North Tower collapse. So we will hear our first bell at 8:46. Now, I would like to introduce to you from Santa Rosa Academy, California Cadet Corps, 310 Battalion, 2nd Brigade, to present the colors. Please stand. Now I would like to welcome up Anaí Garcia Rodriguez, who will bless us with the national anthem. Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam?
whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now I would like to welcome up Petty Officer, Second Class Joseph Hernandez from the United States Navy.
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you, Santa Rosa Academy, California Cadet Corps. Beautiful voice, and thank you, Anaí Garcia Rodriguez. And thank you very much, Petty Officer Joseph Fernandez. I'd like to take a quick moment to acknowledge all the committee members that have put this program together, not only this year, but in years past. I please ask that you hold your applause until we have honored all of our committee members. Our founder and chair, Dr. Bertha Barraza, Christina Abram, Chelsea Boingler, Dr. Michael Cano, Stacy Hartfield, Raven Hilden, Pastor Isaiah Sharp, Letitia Luna Sims, Martina Moncada, Jareth Pale, Edward Presnillo, Dr. Terry Russell, and myself. Big round of applause for our committee members. I would also like to take a quick moment to thank all of our sponsors. And again, this list has grown, so we are very grateful and thankful. Altura Credit Union, City of Menifee, Honoring USA Heroes, Milvet, Mount San Jacinto College Eagle Market Space, Patrick Doyley, Mount San Jacinto College Veterans Resource Center, and UFW Post 1956. A round of applause for them as well. We also have many dignitaries present this morning, and we would like to thank them for being here. They also have provided beautiful certificates for our speaker here today. From the City of Menifee, Mayor of Menifee, Bill Zimmerman. From the City of Menifee, District 3 Councilwoman Lisa Sobek. From the City of Menifee, District 4 Councilman Dean Dines. There you go. Dines. And from Assemblyman Bill Asili, we have Representative Cassie Deaver. We also have from Senator Kelly Serrato, California State Senate District 32, Angelica Austin. And from the County Supervisor's Chuck Washington's office, we have this morning Chuck Washington and Xavier Terry. Have I failed to introduce any other dignitaries? Thank you so much again for being with us here this morning. Now I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Steve Silva. Steve Silva will give us a presentation and share his experience with us this morning. He was a 9/11 survivor of this horrific tragedy that we all experience, and regardless of where we were, the age that we were, we clearly remember this date. We all stop and think. I clearly remember being in this place when I heard that a plane had struck the first tower. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Steve Silva.
Good morning. Thank you, College, San Jacinto College, and Dr. Barraza for inviting me here today. One thing I kind of like to joke when I do these is that I never prepare for these events or presentations. Part of it's because I've done them so many times, and two is I try not to think about it as, I think about it as least as I can until it's absolutely necessary. But back in 2001, I started working for Morgan Stanley, which is an investment banking firm out of their San Francisco office. And at the time, all their new hires were sent to New York for a 3-week training program. And at the time, their headquarters, where the training program was at, was in the second tower, South Tower of the World Trade Center. So when I headed out there, I arrived on September the 8th on a Saturday, and I was excited. It was my first time in New York. I was there with 2 coworkers from my office in San Francisco. I had a friend living in New York, so I was excited to be there for 3 weeks. And the first thing I did was go watch a Yankees and Red Sox game that Saturday. The next day, I spent hanging out with my friend, just exploring the city. On Monday, September the 10th, we reported for work at the World Trade Center. And New York being 3 hours ahead of us, it was pretty tough because we started at 7:15 New York time, which is 4:15 California time. So all the California reps were sleepy, tired, just not really ready for that day. One thing some of us did do was kind of joke around because we were acutely aware of the bombing that happened several years earlier in 1993. So we kind of joked around like, hey, you better be careful, something's going to happen. Well, that day there was a big thunderstorm. And on the way back to my hotel next to Grand Central Station, I was caught in a downpour, I was soaked to the skin, and I thought, I'm going to be sick. So my roommate was from our LA office, and we decided to stay up late and watch TV. We were watching HBO. We were watching Band of Brothers, it's a World War II series, and we were just amazed at how realistic it looked. Well, next thing we knew, it was 2:00 a.m., and we figured, oh, shoot, we had to wake up in a few hours. So we went to sleep, woke up, gosh, it was close to our bus leaving, so we ran frantically around, got dressed, made it to our bus, and we made it to our to the hotel and to the World Trade Center on time for our training session that day. I bought a bagel in the front. There was a lot of bagel carts in New York, so I bought a bagel, cream cheese bagel with poppy seed bagel with cream cheese, which is my favorite bagel. But I wasn't hungry, so I kept it with me. As we looked up, buildings were so tall that you had to crane your head all the way up to see the top of it. You couldn't even see the top of it, just looked all the way up. So there was a lot of security there at the World Trade Center. We had ID cards, 2 ID cards, one with our picture and one to pass through the turnstiles. Security was tight. We go up to the 61st floor, which is where our training session was held. And I was so tired from staying up late that I had a rubber band on my hand and I kept snapping it to stay awake because the guy training us had a reputation for yelling at people that dozed off or fell asleep during the class. So me being in the front row, I kept snapping that to stay awake. Around 8:30 in the morning, we took our first break. And we had coffee, there were donuts, and we're walking around talking. And the buildings in the tower, the windows are so big, you can just see everything outside. And from our vantage point, we were looking at the Statue of Liberty. So I'm in the second World Trade Center building. World Trade Center 1's behind us. So we couldn't see World Trade Center 1. We're looking up towards the water. And so we're talking, we're drinking coffee, and then we see papers flying outside the window. And my first thought was like, who the hell's throwing papers out the window? It's rude. But then you realize, well, we're on the 61st floor. These windows don't open. And after a couple of seconds, the papers were on fire. And then we thought, oh, maybe a bomb went off in our building. So we go up to the windows, and we're so high up that we're looking down on the buildings next to us. And you see fire debris all over the buildings. And my first thought, and I thought it out loud, was a bomb went off in our building. At which point, everybody started gathering their stuff and started to evacuate. And they say in emergencies like that, you don't take the elevator. So we all crowd into the stairwell and we start walking down. So from the 61st floor, we're walking down, and everybody was calm. We're walking down. Someone had spilled coffee, and they were like, "Careful, there's coffee. It's slippery." So we're walking down. We're calm. And around the 45th floor, a voice on the intercom inside the stairwell comes on, and a man says, "Everybody be calm. But a plane hit the first World Trade Center. The second tower is secure. You can all go back to your offices." And he was right. At that point, our building was still secure. But the lady in front of me said, "That's a load of BS. I'm getting the hell out of here." So I was the dividing point in that stairwell. The people in front of me went down, people behind me went back up. And me thinking, should I stay? Should I go? I'm gonna go down one more flight to the 44th floor and hang out and see what's going on. See, the buildings are so tall that you have to transfer on certain levels, elevators. And the 44th floor was one of those transfer levels. So there was a big elevator bank, just elevators, the biggest elevators I've ever seen in my life. So I'm on the 44th floor, and there's my wall. The wall is probably about 20 feet to my left with two escalators, one going up and one going down next to me from the 44th to the 43rd floor. A big flat screen TV in front of me, and then just the elevators with some people to my right. And I thought, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna watch the news and see what's going on. And sure enough, it says plane hits World Trade Center. And so I felt relieved because I thought it was a small plane. I thought it was like a Piper or a Cessna or, a single prop plane that accidentally hit the building. My first thought was that it was an intentional act. But I thought, okay, a plane hit the building, it was an accident. It was bad, but not as bad as I think it was. A few seconds later, a loud explosion ripped through the back of the building, just a loud boom. And the building that I was in just jumped forward. And in that second, I thought, they got me. Because I thought it was a bomb. I was in the building, I didn't see the plane coming. So with the loud explosion from the back of the building, I thought a bomb went off. And as the building jerked forward, I thought, okay, they got me. Like, wow. And as I'm turning around, you see from the impact, things flying across the room. And I thought to myself, it looks just like a movie. It looked like a movie. And as I finished turning around, the lights were flashing, people were falling over, you see the walls cracking, and it shook so hard that I thought to myself, well, that's it, I'm done. I expected that building to collapse then and there, because the worst earthquake you've been, you got to multiply that a few times because it was bad. And so I'm bracing myself, and split second, I kind of accepted, like, okay, I'm gonna die, just gonna wait for it to come down on me. But when it stopped shaking, I thought, okay, I gotta get the hell out of here. So I turn around, and the escalators next to me were twisted from all the shaking. These are metal escalators, so from the building shaking so much, the escalators were twisted, and they stopped running, of course. So somehow I ran down to the 43rd floor without tripping, where I saw three people dressed in white running towards me and then veering off to my right. So I started chasing after them. And I heard them praying in Spanish, so I was like, oh, I'm gotta pray too. So all four of us are running down the hall praying until we hit the emergency exit to the far right, at which point we open the door and it's just crowded with people running down the stairs. And so the first thing I see is that in those stairwells, there's a placard with the floor number. So the first number I see is 43. And we're running down. I see 43, 42, 41, 40. And I'm thinking, when the hell are we getting out of here? We're just running. It didn't matter how old you were, how big you were, how everybody was running fast. Just, I guess everybody's had the adrenaline pumping. And so I'm running down, I'm looking next to me, okay, that person's doing fine. I keep running, just make sure everything's fine. By the time we reached the 25th floor, we were tired, sweaty, and for some reason there was a pocket of smoke in the stairwell at that 25th floor, which I could never figure out because the plane hit up here and there was a pocket of smoke down here. But I had a handkerchief with me, so I reached into my bag to grab my handkerchief, but it being my first time in New York, I had a camera with me with about 4 rolls of film. So I grabbed my camera, I brought it out, and I started taking pictures. So I have pictures in the stairwell coming down the building. As we get further down, the Port Authority, and these guys don't get as much credit as they should, but the Port Authority were the ones that got us out of the building. They were there directing us, telling us, go here, go there. It being my second day in the building, I don't know my left from right there. So they guided us out. And as we're getting down further and further, that's when we start seeing the firemen coming up and the policemen coming up. And I remember telling them, thank you, because here I am, I'm running out and these guys are running in. So I thanked them on my way down, and because I just had to get the hell out of there. There was so much debris falling from the towers that in order to get out, we had to go below ground because there were seven buildings total, World Trade Center buildings, and they're all connected underground through a subway and through, it's like a mall underground, just building shops and the subway. So we had to go down underneath the building, come across, and then out through World Trade Center 5. Far enough to be away from the falling debris. So what I remember is as I walked up the steps from the bottom level to come out, there was a guy from the Port Authority there, and he was yelling, "Don't look up, don't look up." So naturally, I turned around to look up, and that's when I first saw the towers on fire. I raised my camera, took a picture, ran across the street, and there was a cameraman there, and I just see him filming me as I ran across, and I kind of felt like a refugee running away from a burned out camp or something, like you see in those war movies. I'm running away from this burning building. There's people all over, and as I get across the street, I start taking more pictures, and I come across my friend Tom, one of my coworkers from San Francisco. And it was a miracle that we met up there because we were separated at the very top, and here we are meeting at the bottom with thousands of people around. We still came across each other. So we're standing there in the front looking at the buildings, and all I can think about is, what are we going to do for work tomorrow? Our offices are on fire. And he goes, well, we'll probably just have the training in our hotel. And I thought, okay. At that point, we were experiencing shock. So there were cars parked in the street with the doors open, the radio's on, and you hear, Pentagon was hit, Washington was hit. You start hearing all these planes hitting everywhere. And we're thinking, holy crap, it's a concerted organized effort going on. And again, another Port Authority gal walks up to us and says, "You know, guys, it's not a good idea to be hanging around here." We both looked at each other, looked at the burning towers, and are like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." But there were no cabs around. Cabs disappeared that day. So we started walking up Broadway back to our hotel. And our hotel was by Grand Central Station, so it was a bit of a walk. So as we're walking up, just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people at this point start gathering and looking up at the buildings, and some are crying and some are in shock, and we're just trying to get out of there. We were thirsty, so we walk into a little market, pick up baskets, and we start shopping. Get water and food, and then we're like, what the hell are we doing? So we just dropped the baskets, took our water, paid for it, and left. So as we're walking further up the street, we're probably about 4 or 5 blocks when we hear a loud rumbling noise, just loud boom. And everybody turns around, and in the distance, you just see a dust cloud rising up to the streets. And we thought a bomb went off. Again, I didn't know a plane hit the building yet because I was inside. I didn't see the building. I didn't see the plane hit. And I thought a bomb went off in our building. I didn't know a plane hit it. So I thought it was a bomb again that went off. So we start running up Broadway. We start running. After about a block and a half, we duck into a liquor store. We grab a bottle of Jack Daniels. We walked up, slapped down like $30 or so, and just walked down. We just started drinking right out of the bottle. We were just petrified at the time. Well, my friend Tom had a brother that lived in New York. So instead of going back to our hotel, we went to his brother's apartment. And at this point, cell phone service was knocked out everywhere. I didn't have a cell phone, but my friend Tom did. And so he couldn't call anyone. The first thing his brother says as he opens that door was, "I thought you guys died." So he gives us a big hug. We walk in, and we were so wired that we couldn't sit down. We were jittery. We served the Jack in glass bottle in glasses at this point, and my hands were just shaking as I'm drinking. And I was so wired that I was ready to jump out the window if I had to. I couldn't sit down. We were just worked up. At that point, I started calling my family to let them know I was all right. But it happened so early California time that a lot of people here didn't even know what was going on. Unless you're watching the news and early in the morning, So I call my dad and I tell him I'm okay. I was in the World Trade Center. And he was like, okay. And I was like, all right, well, at least he knows I'm all right. So I hang up. My friend Tom and I walk back to our hotel. But at this point, we're about an hour or more later than everybody else from our company. So my roommate, there's a bar in the front. Roommate runs out, gives us a hug, and he says, "I thought you guys died," because we weren't there with everybody else. He says, "I looked at your luggage trying to find a phone number to call your family to tell them that you died. But luckily, I didn't have any numbers in my luggage." So at that point, I go upstairs, I take a shower, I call my friend that lived out there, and she lived by Grand Central Park. So we met up, we walked around for hours, and all this time we just hear sirens everywhere, sirens, sirens, sirens. We smell the smoke. And what a lot of people don't realize is that it just wasn't 9/11 for most of us there. It was also 9/12, 9/13, 9/14, 9/15, because every day felt threatening. There was rumors of poison gas or chemicals or dust or whatever in the plane. So we're thinking, all this that we're smelling is probably going to kill us. There's something, there might be something bad in this. We're looking out and there's armed people, I guess, I don't know if it was the reserves but there were, armed military guys on the corners. And there were bomb threats at the Empire State Building. There were bomb threats here. So we lived in a constant state of high alert. throughout that stay. We were just worried that something else was going to happen, that another bomb was going to go off, that another plane was going to hit. So for the next few days, all I did was just walk through New York. I mean, we couldn't work anymore. Our office was gone. And they told us we can stay for the full 3 weeks. But on Friday night, some notes were slipped under our door that said there's going to be buses outside. You either on those buses on the way back to California, or you find your own way home. So my friend Tom and I, next morning, rented a car, drove out, got some breakfast, and during breakfast, he was able to get some flights out from LaGuardia to Atlanta, and from Atlanta to SFO. Some of the first flights out of New York, because there was no flying, for a few days afterwards. And so we returned the car, went to LaGuardia, but since they were checking luggage so much at that point, I missed my flight, and Tom made it ahead of me, so I flew alone. And as I entered the plane, it was just slow motion, because as I walked down the aisle, I looked at every single person as I walked. I just looked at them to see who was on plane. And as I sat down on my seat, I thought to myself, okay, I can use the seat cushion as protection because they're removable. And I can use my belt, as a weapon if I have to. And then I thought, okay, I'm okay. I have something to protect myself and a weapon if I need it. And then from there, we flew to Atlanta, from Atlanta to San Francisco. And I was back home at that point. But yeah, I've been doing presentations like this for several years. And, it never gets easy. I try to emotionally detach myself so it's easier to get through it. But, 22 years later, I'm glad that, there's some people that still remember and still celebrate it. Because there's for many years, there are a lot of people saying never forget. But I feel like there's some people that just kind of don't want to be reminded either. So it's where we are now. But in the auditorium, the camera that I had, I took about 30 or more pictures. So there's a slideshow actually, because for several years I did a presentation at the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles, which is the Holocaust Museum. And the pictures, I had blown them up and they had them on display for a while. And a few years ago, we decided, let's just put them on your website. And this way, anybody at any time can go onto your website and see my pictures. So in the auditorium, we're going to be going to the Museum of Tolerance website where my photos are up. It's a collaboration between us. And I guess in some point, I'll kind of retell the story then, but with the pictures this time. So I guess if we can. Yeah, so this auditorium here, and she'll tell you.
Thank you very much, Steve, for sharing your story. And as you mentioned, it's not something that you definitely want to be reminded, but it does remind us of how the community, how the United States of America came together, and we're still here in support of you and all the survivors. So thank you. And then I'd like to welcome Bill Zimmerman, our City of Menifee Mayor, to say a few words.
It's always interesting to listen to someone's perspective who was there and to try to put yourself in that mindset. I kind of extracted a few things that Mr. Silva had said about the feelings that he had, and you could almost think the word paranoia a little bit, right? When something like that happens and you start to wonder what else is happening. And so that experience is something that unfortunately you had to have, but thank you for coming and sharing and being a part of today's ceremony so that all of us can have a better understanding of what took place. If I have some nice proclamations here to honor this day. If there's any of our folks, I see Xavier, and I thought I saw Casey Deaver and Angelica. Why don't you guys come on up, and we are going to present some of these certificates, and I'm going to ask my council members to join me, Councilman Dinas and Councilmember Sobek. Whenever we hear those bells, we'll just pause for a second. Okay, so this says Esteban, but I think we know you as Steve. Mr. Silva, thank you again for being a speaker. Come on up. This is on behalf of the city of Menifee, and we want to thank you for being a part of the ceremony and making it special today. And my council colleagues come join me here for a photo. Yes, we come out in front.
Now, on behalf of 3rd District Supervisor Washington, we present this certificate of recognition to Steve Silva in recognition and remembrance on the 22nd anniversary of the tragedy that occurred in New York City. We solemnly honor you and appreciate your presence at the 9/11 ceremony hosted by Jacinto College. Your testimony continues to educate Americans on the importance of commemorating the events that transpired September 11th, 2001. We'll never forget. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Deaver, and I'm with Assemblyman Bill Saley's office, and it truly is my honor to get to be here and to hear this. So, thank you, Mr. Silva, for taking the time to share your experience and let us know what it was like from someone there. So, on behalf of the Assemblyman, I'd love to present you with this certificate, and thank you for continuing to do this for us going forward.
Good morning, Mr. Silva. On behalf of Senator Chobok, we'd just like to say thank you for sharing your story. We know it's painful to remember, but it's also necessary for us to remember as well at the same time. So just thank you for sharing.
TV side. I'm Angelica from State Senator Sarah's office, and I'm presenting here a certificate for you on your presentation here today. As somebody who was only 5 and in Japan on a naval base that day, I have very unique memories, but being able to hear from somebody who was there, not on a documentary, but in person, and actually had seen your photos at a much younger age, it's amazing to see how you being here is just a crucial part of having an oral history about the event and making sure that those of us who can't remember because we weren't there, your presence is extremely amazing and honestly the best thing that's happening so far for me. Thank you so much, and on behalf of the Senator, thank you so much for coming.
Okay, we have one more special proclamation that we want to honor. Someone who worked so hard behind the scenes and is part of this team, and that is Dr. Bertha Barraza. And I know she's over here, so if you'd come on up. We'd also like the committee members to also come up and join us here for this proclamation. So if you're a committee member, please come on up. All right, so I'm just gonna say how much I appreciate all of Bertha's efforts, and we unveiled that nice monument earlier that's gonna be displayed here on the campus, and I know how hard she worked, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to recognize her. But Karina is also gonna share a few words about this special honor that we have for Bertha.
Thank you. And Dr. Barraza, thank you so much again for your vision. And I started assisting and volunteering about 7 years ago. And when I say it was in a small venue, maybe 10 attendees, 10 students, and 3 volunteers along with Stacy. This is just, it really touches my heart and the committee to see it grow this way. And for us to honor Dr. Barraza for all her hard work, we would like to present her today with the America's 9/11 Guardian Angel Honor.
Thank you, everyone. This is really the labor of these people behind me. I mean, literally, they're always behind me. And for the college, you know, the college has allowed and supported us to do this. In the city and every organization that is here today, this could not be possible. I thank you, Roger, you back there. Thank you so much. You always here, and you know, we couldn't do that without everyone's collaboration. And thank you for showing up today, because we should never forget. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the committee members for all your hard work in putting this event and making it possible. Thank you. Again, a big round of applause for Dr. Barraza. Now, in conclusion of our program, I'd like to welcome up Ed Presnillo, founder of Honoring USA Heroes. And Ed will share a few words with us, but also will have instructions to end the program. And he has special guests. I don't know if we have dog lovers in the audience today, but we do have 2 special friends of ours.
Just want to thank the Sheriff's Department for having them bring their bomb detection team with us. And to my right, I have Deputy Hughes, right? Deputy Hughes there. He's with Maddie, the K-9 Maddie. bomb detection dog. And I have Deputy Taveras on my right there with K9 Sierra. Yeah. Uh, Thank you all for being here today. My name is Ed Presnello. I'm the founder of Honoring USA Heroes. And our main mission is to make sure that our heroes are never forgotten. Unfortunately, that term there has been used where we are forgetting our heroes, especially our 9/11 heroes. And so what we do is we create a living memorial picture that actually comes to life. And we can provide these to our fallen heroes. My main mission right now has been to honor the fallen heroes of 9/11 so that they will always be with the living playing the music for the party. And when someone asks, where's that music coming from? They'll say, see the picture on the wall of my son, my father, my brother who gave his life for our country that died on 9/11 is playing it for us. That is what we do to keep the honors member. One other thing I wanted to mention too is that my organization is now, we have a lot of firefighters, policemen, and some military personnel who are dying in the line of duty through cancer. And when they're going through cancer, their cancer treatments, one of the things that happens to them is they lose their hair and they don't want it to go out and mingle among the rest of us because of their cancer. So I decided to, through donations, I will provide a cowboy hat, just like what I'm wearing, and so that they can wear that and go out into the public with dignity. That's what Honoring USA here is all about. And today, I want to thank you all for being here to commemorate the event that happened on 9/11. 22 years ago, most of us here will never forget that horrific date. Just like our guest speaker was talking about, I thought it was a small plane too when I first heard it. And things changed when I heard about the second plane, and I realized that our freedom in this country it's been violated. And we really have to stand down and pull together to get through this. The things that I heard about what was happening outside of our country is now within our country, within our borders. So we had to really come down and pull together as one nation. So I thought when, excuse me, my glasses. I'm here today now to bring awareness and honor one of our 9/11 heroes. Some of us do not know that there was a canine dog involved that day. He was a 4-year-old yellow Labrador retriever named Sirius. Sirius was specialized in bomb detection for the New York, New Jersey Port Authority. When the North Tower was hit, his handler, Lieutenant David Lim, locked Sirius up in the base, or it's actually the 3rd floor of the South Tower, to be safe. And once he secured Sirius, he went out to help. When the South Tower was hit, Lieutenant Lim was quoted by some survivors by saying that he needed to return to his dog when the North Tower began to collapse. Amazingly, Lieutenant David Lim was one of the miracle survivors who was pulled alive after the collapse of the North Tower. His first reaction was to get to Sirius from the South Tower, but he was quickly put into an ambulance and driven away. Sirius had then passed in the collapse of the South Tower. This is the picture of Sirius, which I had created for David Lim, Lieutenant David Lim. This is a copy. And so our pictures that we give to our heroes' family actually comes to life. This, like I said, this is a copy of it. And they can play music and they can play any special recordings so that they can listen to and ask questions about our hero there. On January 22nd, 2002, Sirius remains were found at Ground Zero and removed with full honor. As any other Port Authority, Police Department, New York Police Department, and the Fire Department of New York members was, all machines were silenced, and everyone else saluted the remains as the American flag was draped over them. And Lieutenant Lim was finally able to fulfill his promise, as Sirius was awarded the Victoria Cross by the British Embassy. A memorial service was held by the New York, New Jersey Port Authority at Liberty State Park in Jersey City, New Jersey. Around 100 police dogs, some as far as California, were in attendance and filed past the urn that hold the ashes of Sirius. As any police funeral, they played taps, Amazing Grace on bagpipes, and they all followed with a 21-gun salute. Today, I'm honored to commemorate another hero of 9/11. Rest in peace, Police K-9 Sirius. Thank you very much for having me here today.
I invite everyone, in conclusion of our program, to visit room 927, which is the building to my left, for Mr. Silva's presentation. We also, in the room behind me, room 814, we encourage everyone to participate in the name activity search and learn more of those who perished on 9/11. In room 814, we also have replicas of the inscribed names from the North and South Towers at Ground Zero, New York City, and flags from all the countries that claimed the loss of a citizen on 9/11. We invite.
Yes, before we get into there, I would like to ask, if you are a survivor of 9/11, please step forward. If you lost a loved one on 9/11, please step forward. If you volunteered on the aftermath of 9/11, please step forward. If you are a first responder, active or retired, please step forward. If you served in any military branches, active or retired, please step forward. I'm with them. If you're the K-9 search and rescue dogs, please step forward.
Thank you for your service and thank you for your volunteer work. You will be instructed on what to do with those flags. I want to end the program by saying, may we find solace in each other's presence, and may the memory of those we lost be a beacon of light guiding us towards a brighter and more compassionate future. Thank you for being here this morning.